Hi, I'm Ed from Chicago Fly House, and today we want to talk about finding manufacturer information on the hardware that we're going to be using. It's critically important that we know the manufacturer of our hardware and that we can talk to them about how it should be used, what its limitations are, all of those sorts of things, because in order to have full control over what we're doing, we need to really understand the hardware we have. If we get hardware with a manufacturer that's unknown, we don't have that control. We don't know the standards it was made to. We don't know its braking strength necessarily. There's a lot of questions. We don't like questions in our rigging. So when it comes to looking for the manufacturer information, if the hardware is made to an industrial standard like the ASME B30 standard, which is for detachable rigging hardware, that standard is going to tell us that the manufacturer has to put their name right on it. So in the shackle here, we can see CM is right there. We can see that it says Chicago right across here. These are two trusted manufacturers of rigging hardware. We know what we have in our hands, and we can go to the manufacturer and start asking them questions or read their website, etc. Shackles make it pretty easy, as do other things that are covered by that ASME standard, because it says that you have to have the manufacturer right there. Other stuff can be a little bit harder. For example, with carabiners are made to a bunch of different standards. All of them are still going to say that the manufacturer has to be shown, but where do you put manufacturer information on a carabiner? There's not a lot of room. So what we have is that it's stamped on the major axis of the carabiner, but it's filled in with paint a little bit. It can be a little bit hard to read. Doesn't mean we shouldn't pay attention to it. It just means we have to give it a little closer inspection to understand it. Sometimes when it comes to things like a turnbuckle, we have a bigger problem, because the turnbuckle, not only does it have almost nowhere to write anything on it, but it's also galvanized, which means if they stamped something, it would still get covered with the galvanized coating and we wouldn't be able to read it. The trick with manufacturer information for a turnbuckle is that you really have to pay attention to it when you buy the turnbuckle. You have to get it from a place that you know, and then you have to store it in a way where you know what you have and you don't lose track of the manufacturer, the capacities, and things like that. For things like wire rope and fittings, wire rope is very hard to track down. Again, you have to know where you got it, know who manufactured it. Usually we're going to try to get what's called a mill cert from a wire rope manufacturer so that we can know when it was made, where it was made, who made it, and how strong it is. When it comes to fittings, some wire rope fittings like this one from Nycopress actually will say Nycopress on them. They're stamped on them. Nycopress insists that as part of their system that you use sleeves that have their name stamped on them. But there are other fitting manufacturers, specifically Lucenco, where the fittings don't have to be marked. They just have to meet the specification. So for some of these things, we have to get a little bit deeper into understanding what we have to make sure we're doing it correctly. But one of the ways that we can make this better is we can buy from industrial suppliers, we can buy from entertainment suppliers, and we can talk to people so that we know what we have and that we know whether we're using it correctly. Thanks very much.